So I wanted to share with you, there was a closed-door meeting at the RNC before we had a vote, and it was 7 minutes to present your case to the Republican people. It was closed door, 168 members, and it followed with an hour and a half of question and answers. And I've got what I think is one of the best speeches I ever have written in my life, and I wrote it on planes and when I spent the night in the Newark airport and the Cleveland airport with two chairs pulled up together. You have a lot of time to reflect when you're traveling by yourselves and getting out and going into hotels and motels and moving around the country of exactly why we do this. And I was going to share this 7 minutes with you. This was the speech I gave to the National Committee the night before the election. And it's thank you. I'm Katon Dawson, the chairman of the South Carolina Republican Party for the past 7 years. I've run my own business my entire adult life. I've been married to my best friend Candy for 28 years. We have 2 children, Anna 24 and Katon 22. I'm the grandson of a welder. My grandmother was a hat salesman in a department store. I'm the son of a man who took a Nazi bullet in his left leg and North Korean shrapnel in his right hip, fighting for our freedom. From the 8-year-old buck-toothed kid in a Cub Scout uniform on the stage with Ronald Reagan in 1964, to being the chairman of the Republican Party of South Carolina for the last 7 years, my life has been an incredible journey. The last thing I expected was to be on this podium today. As you all know, especially you in this room, the hours are long, the work at times thankless, the late night drives home from meetings solitary. At times I wonder, why do we all do this? The question really hit home after the meetings in Washington a few weeks ago, and I will set that up for you. We went to Washington for interviews with the National Committee, a divided National Committee at that time. There were 2 different groups, and I got there on Sunday sometime after church, and from Sunday to Thursday, I had 12 hours sleep. I was told that I had a speech to give on Monday that we weren't aware of, another speech on Tuesday that I knew of. The times had changed, and so the nerves kicked in. I'm in a hotel room by myself, again, not wondering why I do it, knowing I was doing it. And on Thursday, I had the note that came from the team that Katon, you're to be in Rhode Island for a Friday morning meeting at 8 o'clock in Providence, Rhode Island. And the beauty of this story is that after traveling all over the country, we were booking hotel rooms off of Priceline and bidding for them. I was able to get a hotel room in Chicago, Illinois that was a president's suite where they shined my shoes and gave me breakfast for $82. I thought it was pretty good value. Well, let me finish that story. So I landed in Providence, Rhode Island a little after midnight with 12 hours sleep. And you all understand that there's certain times that your body knows that you're getting ready to get in trouble. And I had 12 hours sleep. I was cold. I hadn't been home in 14, 15 days. JW was text messaging me. Rob is sitting there telling me what's going on back in South Carolina, and I'm tired. And I get off and I catch a cab, and my good friend B.J. Bolden has helped book me a hotel room. And I remember him asking me, do you want to stay in the Biltmore downtown? I got it at $121. Do you want to stay at the Radisson for about $62? And I said, Radisson sounds good to me. So I get off, and at 12:30, I get in the cab and head to the Radisson. Well, let me explain something to you. The Radisson was not the Radisson, it was the Addison. It was not a hotel, it was a motel. And then I went on to tell you when I was first elected in my home state in 2002, the obstacles were huge. We had tackled some big issues of our party. We were in debt. We had some trouble. We had a Republican governor that had been put out by Jim Hodges and caused a lot of distress in the Republican Party. People have always tried to talk about who was that, or what was wrong with it. All I can tell you is it was there, it was real, and the circumstances of losing the governor's mansion were horrific for us. There was a Democrat governor who had sniffed out every Republican anywhere near state government and issued them pink slips. We were in debt, we had a pending FEC fine, and the Democrats, under Dick Arpullian, had over $1 million cash on hand. The newspapers were writing our party's obituary. On top of all this, we were facing the retirement of one Republican U.S. Senator, and our powerful incumbent Democrat Senator Fritz Hollings was thinking of running for a 6th term. It was interesting, in a debate, one of my competitors got up and said, it's easy in South Carolina. And they laughed. It's easy. And if I was in South Carolina, I could do it too. I reminded them later on, and that's when he said, I'm never ever going to poke that rattlesnake again in a closed-door meeting, that in the last 140 years, South Carolina has elected only 4 Republican governors and 3 Republican U.S. senators. And in this room, we knew them all. And when I told them that statistic, their jaws just dropped. I said, ladies and gentlemen, we hadn't been Republican all our lives. Everybody on my committee, from the McMasters, the Dawsons, who were about the only Republicans in our neighborhoods, who got kicked off the school buses for being Republicans. We wore the stickers. We remember the gold water can we sold for $1. We remember the fight of climbing through to get to this full room here today. We remember. But the national stage does not. They consider us to be solid red all of our lives. And I found it interesting. So when I did 140 years and 4 Republican governors and 3 Republican U.S. senators, and we'd worked for them all and knew them all, we put it in modern history, we had to build the respect for what we as a party had done. Because a lot of people take for granted, especially the conservative firewall, of that's what it takes to elect a president. Without North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, Florida, the states, Tennessee, when you come all the way through the firewall down through Mississippi, you better have them to win a national election. You better be able to put them back together, because we bled. We bled blue ink in 3. First time in a long time. Well, I told the National Committee, I said, what did we do as a party? What did we do? We built an organization, quadrupled our small donors, and raised millions of dollars and added new technologies. We registered tens of thousands of new Republican voters and put thousands of volunteers on the ground. And all of you remember knocking on thousands and thousands of doors. The results speaks for themselves of what we here as a party have done. We took control of state government, replacing both senators with Republicans. We elected and re-elected a Republican governor, and having won 80% of the races while I've been chairman, including electing 8 out of 9 statewide seats in 2006. And we did that as the cold political wind blew all over the country. It didn't blow here because of you in this room. We earned more votes for John McCain in 2008 than any other presidential candidate in South Carolina history, and only 2 states did that, Louisiana and South Carolina. That's it. Everybody else did not make the mark. I'm not pointing fingers, but I'm telling you, we have a success story that Henry, myself, and Republicans will go to our grave to be proud of. What I told him was, what we say as Republicans matter. Winning matters. And that's what we've done in South Carolina, and know how to do it. And ladies and gentlemen, under any circumstances, we've won. All of us up here today know what the journey's been. And I told them I thought I was uniquely qualified for the job. I did. It was 168 job interviews. That's what it was. And I have some great friends out there. We came up 8 votes shy. And that'll stay with me a while. But I'm tough enough. I've lost some and I've won some. I always tell you that winning's a little bit better. But I told them that what we've done in South Carolina is what we can do all over the country. And our speech was overwhelmingly recognized as what we were doing was talking the gospel. I mean, I told them that our national party lacked a clear agenda. That's still the way I feel. We Republicans have lately been defined ourselves by what we're against rather than what we're for. And sometimes we've done that nationally in an angry tone. And the tone the American voting public, not in South Carolina, but the American voting public all over the country, had rejected in 2006 and 2008. Because we've been careful of our tone. Our leadership's been careful, been responsible, and that's why I'd ask you to make sure when you go home to thank them, because it's continuous. I also said that what Republicans stand for is personal responsibility, limited government, and a strong national defense. But I cautioned that's no longer enough. It's not enough to win elections. We must articulate as Republicans in South Carolina and all over the country what we're for. We're for limited spending, lowering taxes, and reducing size of the government. We're for achieving energy independence so we no longer enrich the old dictators who hate us and hate our way of life. For securing our borders and start standing up for the rule of law. For protecting our right to choose our own doctor. The Republican Party is the party that believes in a hand up and not a bailout. That was a big one. We, as a party, believe in protecting workers' rights to a secret ballot in the workplace. We believe in protecting the innocent, whether it's a child about to be born or a person about to die. We believe that just because a child lives in a bad neighborhood doesn't mean he has to go to a bad school. This is the one we hammered home. Character counts in the Republican Party. We will, in South Carolina and all over the country, always hold the Democrats and our own party accountable. And that's what we have to do as Republican leaders in this room. Character counts, and character matters, and integrity matters to this party. We're a party that's embracing freedom, and being a tolerant people does not require that we be weak or submissive. We must be bold and courageous. It's time for another Republican revolution, and I told him I wanted to help lead that charge. As Ronald Reagan told us, we're too great a party to limit ourselves to small dreams. We're not, as some would have us believe, doomed to an inevitable decline. I do not believe in a fate that will fall on us no matter what we do. I do believe in a fate that will fall on us if we do not continue to change. So with all the creative energy at our command, we in this room and all the country will begin an era of Republican renewal. Let's renew our determination, our courage, strength, faith, hope, and values. Ronald Reagan assured us that we have every right to dream heroic dreams. And those who say there are no heroes today, they just don't know where to look. Ladies and gentlemen, the heroes to me are in this room. You are my heroes. I appreciate the Republican revolution that we've led. I will tell you now that it has been with heavy heart that I have searched all over this country looking for the Republican dream, and I found it back home here today. We have been responsible stewards over the Republican Party, and I am proud of that. We have done things together that people did not think we could do. I mean, elect 2 Republican U.S. senators. Yes. Re-elect and elect 3 different times U.S. House members. Those are phenomenal numbers. 27 senators, 71 House members in a climate that was miserable. So I will tell you that we as a party, I mean, we own a building. We got 4 suites in the building with 5,000 square feet in there for Republican dominance, owned by a party that building will always last past elected officials. It is a home for us forever. We didn't have that when we came, and that was we. I remember writing that $100,000 check to put down for the deposit because we didn't have any credit. We had to put $100,000 down, a hard-earned money that we earned sitting in those diners, asking people for money to get us a permanent home. I will always be proud of all that. I will be. It has been a labor of love for me and my wife and my children who were there, Katon and Anna. I'm sorry they couldn't be here today, and Candy wanted to come. I told her there'd be another time. They sat there in that national convention on that rope line, and they worked, buddy. And my son told me, who's 22, said, "Dad, this is like a state convention." And what he was saying was, you know, we had some wearing our stickers and some not. What he's saying was that, boy, we're tough from South Carolina. He was so proud to be from South Carolina. My daughter, who lives in New York, had ridden the train down. My wife and children were there, and they were fighting, buddy. We were fighting. Every day we were fighting. And they sat there, and they want to thank you because they've been through these battles at my house when people called our homes in the middle of the night mad and angry, when the elected officials didn't get along and the party was the referee. They've lived that. And they have a toughness that I'll always appreciate and admire, especially when I was watching that vote count grow and looking at my children over there pulling and pulling and pulling for us. So I will tell you this. It's with heavy heart that I'm not going to re-up for election. It has been 7 years. It is time. It's time for a small break from everyday politics. That small break, it's amazing when the good Lord closes one door, it opens another. I know when you lose a race and you go home, everybody forgets about you. I know tomorrow I'll be still the chairman of the South Carolina Republican Party. Let me assure you of that till May. And I understand, but new doors have opened up. It's interesting. My business does well, and we work hard. But it was sitting there in place to run itself for another 4 years if I was awarded the chairmanship. And other doors have opened up in the conservative policy arena, in the public affairs arena. in the arena of entrepreneurism, of which we, as Republicans, believe in. So I'm not going away from the conservative cause of the Republican Party, let me assure you that. I've got 7 years of hard-earned work here that now has been recognized all over the country, especially from the conservative movement. So I'll be in New York on Monday, Washington on Wednesday, talking to some groups. We're going to be recruiting some candidates, and we're going to still be working. But I would caution everyone here that you've afforded me, and I am still the chairman of the Republican Party until May. I talked to a reporter yesterday to explain to them that I'm not gone. I'm just not offering for re-election. But what I will do is monitor this election. That's what happened in the national election. Nobody did. It ran unfettered. Probably $1,250,000 spent between 5 candidates. Unfettered, uncontrolled, and was a horrific race inside the 168. It was distasteful. It was tough. And we're going to try to make sure that doesn't happen here in South Carolina. There are only 2 people that have been through as many races as me and Henry McMaster. Henry's been through 6. I've been through 4, maybe 5, whatever it is, Henry. Henry and I have been chairman for the last 17 years. And so I can tell you. And Henry, that was another statistic when I'd tell them their jaws would just drop, because let me tell you, state party chairman's tenure is 18 months. That's how quick they come and go. The burnout ratio for a party chairman all over the country is 18 months. So it's amazing to be the second longest serving chairman, Republican chairman. Alaska was ahead of me. Was quite a feat when I would tell people that. So I would caution you that as this race starts, and I am sure it'll start in the next 30 minutes, and I'm sure there are going to be 4 or 5 people in it, and I encourage that. A hefty debate is something that I tell you for the future of this party it is important. The candidates are going to need to do what I did. They don't have the time I did. I traveled the first time 80,000 miles, second time 80,000 miles plus, spent about $100,000. It's expensive to run for this job. You got to raise some money, but I tell you what, I've been in your gymnasiums. I've been in your cafeterias. I've been in your homes. I have been all over this state. I remember early on going to a Pickens breakfast and coming by the, I got to say it right. I say it's Clinton, but it's Clinton. Clinton. I still don't get that. I get South Carolina right, I don't get Clinton right. I remember coming by the Clinton exit, and it was the sun was coming up to go to a breakfast in Pickens by myself. And I remember getting to that breakfast at Pickens, and I remember the next time I came by that sign, it was pitch black dark. I remember pulling into Beaufort with the sun going down and doing a meeting that night and not getting back home for 2 days later in Columbia. I remember that. I remember it like it was yesterday. I remember the drive from North Myrtle Beach all the way to Hilton Head one day. I remember those. And I remember that you got to want this job really bad. You do. You got to want it really, really bad. And we have set, as a committee, we have set the bar very high. We have raised $19 million. We have a building. We have done it just about all right. And that's a we, not I. I told the National Committee when they were attacking me for the region I was from, saying, why do we need a Southern chairman? And all these innuendos that the consultants were being paid to put out on Katon. I kept saying, in 7 years, the proudest thing I am, in 7 years, over a couple of hundred television shows, over 10,000 Google hits, I never said anything stupid. I didn't. I never said anything. I don't think I ever embarrassed the Republican Party. And I am very proud. I mean, never. We were measured by what we said. We were measured by what we did. And it was always having great help. I mean, Rob Godfrey, I can go back to our communications director, but Rob continues to make sure that we, especially when the national stage was here, 700 journalists at one, 1,100 at the other, that we represented our state properly. And I think that's what we want to see in this next chairman's race. I'll also give you something that's going to make some people mad. When I was running for national chairman, I saw what happens when a politician controls a party. That's no criticism of our president. But I saw the difference here. I will tell you that elected officials didn't put me in office. You did. Elected officials, and I tell you, our House members, senators, I love them all. They are the byproduct of what we do. Without us, they are not successful. But they are the byproduct. When the Attorney General told you about our principles and values, he's exactly right. We are the ones that hold us all accountable. That is our job. That is our job. We hold the Republican Party accountable, our elected officials, and ourselves. Character and integrity matter. I would tell you that this next chairman is to be elected by you. As the elected officials weigh in or try to affect this race, I charge you, the next chairman is your chairman and needs to be your chairman. I've always seen this, and I told them on the national stage that I work for you. I viewed it from day one that you were my boss. I always have seen it that way. I always saw it as a chairman that I worked for you. That was not an elected official, but I worked for you. I always remember, and I told them this, I've been there when a person put their head down on a desk and mortgaged their home because a consultant told them we needed another week's of TV and asked me how they're going to make their payment. We are the ones who pick up the pieces. We pick up the signs. We make the phone calls. We go home without the ticker tape parades. We don't get thanked much. We don't. I've had accolades today, and I'll remember that the rest of my life. But we didn't come here to be thanked. We didn't. We didn't come here so there'd be a ticker tape. We came here because we want South Carolina to be the finest place there is on earth, and the United States of America is worth defending, and that's what we as Republicans will do. But this body, this organization here should make the Democrats shake. With the representation that's here today, with the amount of money we've raised, with the infrastructure we've built, with what you do at your homes. And you do it, as I said. I watched the heads nod when I said we ride in our cars home and it's solitary. Every one of you understands that. Well, we know that the long nights and the early mornings, and we as Republicans know what it is to pick up the paper. You leave the campaign event that night or that afternoon. You don't get to go to the party in Columbia. You don't. You've been working hard for Mark Sanford or Lindsey Graham or Jim DeMint. You've been working hard for them. And you go home. And you're so tired, usually you can't wait till midnight to see the results. I've been there with you when we walk out in the morning and open that paper and come back down and you see GOP wins. I've been there. That's the ticker tape parade that we get. I don't think that a lot of people understand the joy we get when we open that paper and see this job well done. And so I would tell you, I would caution you that there are a lot of people going to get involved in this race, whether it be the political consultants or whether it be the elected officials, but you are now the referees. I would tell you to open up your party meetings. We want a strong, vigorous debate on who's going to lead this party. A strong, vigorous debate. Both Henry and I would encourage that. We're the past two chairmen, I will tell you, and I look forward to being the referee. But I can explain to you that I've been through, the only one's been through more than me is Henry. And if you look at the two, we've been through more than anybody in the entire country, if it shows you anything. So I'm excited about it. It's with heavy heart that I made the decision. But it's just time. 7 years is a long time. This is not my last executive committee meeting. I told a reporter on the way over before the announcement that tomorrow morning I'm going to wake up and I was still elected by you to represent this party. And I'll represent it till the day we hand the gavel over and this RNC pen over. And that's not an arrogant statement. That's one that I will tell you that you've afforded me that opportunity. I'll still be the spokesman for the Republican Party up to the day we change hands. I will not go away. I will not disappear. I will be on a different stage. And I will be talking about things that matter to people back home. And I will always be a Republican. But again, we're going to have some great candidates in it. And last time I'll ask you, be fair. Because our motto at the Republican Party has always been this. I want to be fair to everyone involved, and then we work like hell to make them fair to us. And that's what you're going to need to do. Be fair and open, and then you'll pick a chairman. You'll pick someone who's deserving this job. Because I'm so proud of it. I'm so proud of what we've done. But in closing, I have been blessed to be your chairman. Blessed. And I'll cover some of the ground rules in executive session of what I think we ought to do as a party to elect our next chairman. And I'll do that when we come into executive session because I'm going to ask you for a vote or two to set up some parameters for us. It's our party. We get to pick our leader. We get to pick our leader. And that's what we're going to do. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a privilege and a pleasure to have been the chairman of the Republican Party for the last 7 years. Thank you.